Here I am to talk about one of my favorite subjects, big combat buoys. In no way am I advocating that someone carries a Bowie knife around and uses it for self-defense. This is just purely a subjective conversation on what I think really helps a big buoy get to a point where it can be called a big combat buoy. It's the performance characteristics that the blade exhibits. I'm an appreciator of all types of Bowie knives, from very fancy engraved ivory pieces to the all-out work knives. But my favorite genre is the high-performance Bowie knives. Knives that were built, basically the F1 cars of the Bowie knife world. Knives that are attractive and have the beauty the same as an F1 car would attain through design, engineering, performance characteristics. The piece we're going to talk about is the big Nick Wheeler combat buoy. I have a monitor off to the side, so you'll see me look to the side now and then just to get a glimpse of what you guys are seeing. This is an incredible piece. Again, the big things about this knife, and we'll start from the back and we'll work toward the front. First off, simple black micarta handle. Great in the elements, good grip, stays in the hand well, attractive, takes abuse. You can clack it off truck doors, cars. It doesn't chip. It just really, I love the material. But let's look at the handle. The handle's got hips, big flared out bottom. Certain things of a handle make a handle perform to a certain level. The big hips catch your hand. Your hand comes in here. When you swing a knife, the inertia, when you're doing a big snap cut, and we'll talk more about snap cuts in a second, when you snap that knife forward, the inertia of that knife coming, the hand needs to come back and catch into something. A coffin handle gets it by the wedge. It gets it because it has a wider tail if it's done correctly. Stag's great because it's like big thick sandpaper. But the bottom line is stag still can have a taper and make a good wedging effect in the handle. But a contoured handle like Nick does, like Jason does, like Sam does, like a lot of great makers, also a really versatile, great handle, handles super well in the hand. Not only does the handle have a great flare, but it's got a good belly to it, a palm swell in here, okay? Also, something very different about this compared to most is you have a flat spot right here. It's flat right here. That's for indexing. When you turn your thumb out on it, it gives you that natural, you know where your knife's at. It gives you a flat edge that basically helps you index right in here. After that, you have a subtle contour here. That helps you get that. The most important cut a big buoy can do is a big snap cut. And again, I don't know how this is showing up on camera, but a snap cut basically, I'm trying to get a good view of what you're seeing. That's how I'm holding the knife. These fingers are loose. These are together. I feel the flat index right there. My thumb's there. I can feel where it's at. Now a snap cut is when you come forward, you're basically rocking the knife out and bringing the fingers in at the time when it hits its end stroke. The snap cut is probably one of the most important cuts in all of big buoy play, because it's just such an easy cut to make work, and you're using the blade and everything about it to generate your speed and your power, and it's a very important cut. Not only does the handle really facilitate a great snap cut, which is so important to me, I mean, again, very good in saber grip. I don't know if you can, what angle you're seeing, but the knife is just, it's on point, it's fantastic. Just super, right where you want it to be. Very nice. Next, we'll jump to the guard. Again, it's the little differences that make a difference when you start talking about the quality of a knife like this. Nick gave us a shorter guard on top, not a big guard. Enough just to get good thumb purchase on. Don't know how that's showing up, but just the right amount. You can see this piece, everything is just the size it would need to be. Nothing too big, nothing too small, nothing elaborate, just crisp, well done. Next, we'll jump to the blade, and this is where everything starts happening to make a big Bowie knife work. I go to a ton of shows, I walk around, I pick up Bowie knives, and they're gorgeous, some are incredible. But I'm amazed at the amount of Bowie knives I see that are the same dimension here as they are here, at the start of where the clip would fade in. Totally ignoring one of God's greatest gifts to the Bowie knife, and that's radical distal taper. I don't know why more makers don't emphasize that. It changes a knife incredibly. Just for example, this knife is 0.346 at the guard. Where the clip starts to fade in, 0.2925. That's a lot. And what that gives is a lot of power, a lot of straightforward, just the knife jumps forward. I used to do a lot of kendo, and everything was, that motion was bam, and this knife just automatically gets that tip moving so fast because of the way it's balanced and the way it feels. It just, bam, it snaps out there. It's so important in a blade, so important. Another thing this blade really has a ton of is a big belly. Now, when you cut something, you're not hacking into it. You're drawing your cut through the target, okay? So the large curve and the big belly helps you just naturally draw cut better. You get a more, I guess, a more linear motion, I don't know, but whatever you're getting, it's super effective. It just really, really works. Drop into the back of the clip. The clip's centered more forward than it is back. Everybody loves these long, sexy clips, and I do too. But these short clips, what they do is they bring the weight forward, and that's what gives you that bam. You know, that's what gives you that all-out energy and power you can get out of the knife. Is that the way it's just tapered down, the weight's forward, just where it needs to be, and it gives it that magic type feeling. The tip. Nick's famous for doing like needle tips because he's so surgical with his precision. These tips are perfect. You know, everybody picks up a good custom knife, they look at the tip. If the tip's rounded, it's the first thing a lot of guys that know what they're looking at look for. This tip is perfect, and what it does is it helps facilitate the back cut, which is basically acting like a small talon, and this knife won't tear, it'll cut, but just a super effective, very effective fast cut. My tubes are down. We're gonna do some cutting with this knife. I hate to take a beautifully finished knife like this and whale it through targets, but you know what, I wanna do it because I wanna feel it, and I'm pretty sure what I think it's gonna do. But more or less, it's a great way to feel how a knife is going to react in the hand when you hit a target. Is it going to twist? Is the grip wrong that it's going to want to go the wrong direction versus stay in a straight, good, clean, linear arc? Those are the things you'll never know about a knife till you swing it through something with some meat in it. My background in cutting comes from Japanese swords. So in ancient times, we all know the Japanese used to test swords on prisoners of war. Poor farmers, hogs, anything they could. They eventually evolved to using rolled up tatami mats that are, you bind them tight with twine, and you soak them. And they suck up all the water, and all the fibers kind of mesh and stick together, and you get a super fleshy-like consistency. So from playing with the swords, that's a medium I have an understanding of, and I can really tell a lot by when it goes through it. These are pretty stout. I mean, they've got a lot of beef to them. They really, really, you know, they take a lot to cut through. But before I try to cut it, I want to talk about how the snap cut can lend itself to one of the easiest acts to perform with a big Bowie knife. Anybody that's ever boxed knows that normally most guys box left hand up front, jab with that, and that's the standard. Most people are right-handed, so they keep their right back here. That's standard boxing type thing. From years of kendo, standing this way, I've learned to spar southpaw, and what I've found that does is it naturally throws people off. People are used to boxing with someone that's right-handed. Just ask Apollo Creed. But the point I'm trying to say is I stand a lot in a southpaw position. It gives me my right foot's forward. It's the same position I would use with a big Bowie knife, same position I would use with a sword. And what that does for me is it allows me to step to the people's weak side. And you can always work a guy better working him on his weak side. That's why a lot of boxers have problems with southpaws. So when I've got my stance with a big Bowie knife and I'm squared up, I'm sparring. I'm standing like this, but the difference is I'm going to be throwing that jab. The jab is one of the hardest punches to perceive when you're on the other end of it, because it's a straight motion. Big roundhouses are telegraphed. The jab it's always right there. It's super quick. It's very effective. Jabbing with your right hand, for me, I can even jab quicker. Well, all I'm doing is taking that and I'm ending that jab in a snap cut. Bam. So what you basically get is that type effect. You know, when I'm there, it's out there, I'm firing it, I'm snapping it, it's picking up so much centrifugal force. Just want to show you what a snap cut will do to a target. Now, I'm not gonna throw everything I have, I'm gonna stand here and just... Now, that was a snap cut into a flesh simulating target, okay? I don't know if you can see in the camera basically what that did in that target, but that's brutal. That's brutal. You're basically putting that much blade into that target with nothing but a little telegraphed, pop it out. So the main thing about the snap cut, it's your draw stroke, it's how you cut through targets. But also you can use it in so many ways. A snipe here, a snipe there, or, Jesus, a wicked and really cuts nasty. Now just remember, every one of these cuts I'm snapping through. Even high cuts snap through. So guys, in closing, I just want to thank Nick. Nick, honestly, you're a great friend. Your talent is unbelievable. You're one of the finest knife makers I've had the pleasure to know, and more importantly, to call friend. Thanks, Nick. Paul Long, my fantastic pappy. Paul does the best leather, bar none. I mean, not just the fancy pretty stuff, the hard use stuff. This is all front shark skin. This will out-survive me. Hopefully my kids will be toting this thing around. I didn't get the blade all the way clean, but as you can see, guys, it's no worse for wear. A little scuffed up, nothing that won't rub right off. You can use these big knives. They work well. You know, they'll get the job done. This is a knife you could, you know, bet your life on, that's for sure. Guys, again, thanks for looking. I really appreciate it, and take care.